I wanted to go over changing the airbags on my 2007 tropical motorhome. This is a Freightliner XCS chassis. It was production date was June of 2006. I've already done the airbags, but I just wanted to explain some of the things I learned along the way and make this a little easier for somebody else.
The fronts are definitely more challenging than the rears, just because the bottom bolt is hard to get to. It's right in between the front axle beam and the airbag itself, so there's really not a way to get a socket on it. And I've watched a couple other YouTube videos, and there's basically three ways you can do it. One would be to drop down the axle beam, which looked like a lot of work. The other option would be to create a tool that you can put up in there using an old socket. And the third option is just to cut the stud off that the bolt's attached to with a hacksaw. But then you've got to get the new one on, which if you use a different bolt, you can do that. So I actually had to use two of the different three methods to get mine off. And I'll show you. There's only two places that these are attached. There's a 3/4 inch bolt on the top and then the big bolt on the bottom of the axle beam. The bolt on the top is easy to get to. You can reach over the tire or you can come up from underneath. But right here. So the biggest challenge on this whole project is getting these two lower nuts off of these front airbags. And as you can see, now I've got thicker nuts on mine now. I picked up at Ace Hardware. The originals were about probably at least a third, if not half as thick as these, so they're way up inside there and you can't reach them with just with a socket or a wrench or anything. So I had to make a tool to get mine off, and it actually worked out really well with the tool on one side. On the other side, I couldn't get my tool to bite onto the nut, and so I ended up cutting that one off with a hacksaw. But then once I put the thicker nut on, my tool worked fine to put it back together. With this homemade tool, you can just slide it up under there and get it up on the nut, and then just spin it off. So it wasn't bad at all with the tool. And putting it back together was easy on both sides. The only other thing you've got to do is unhook the airline, which in my case was really easy. There's a fitting on the top of the bag that the airline pushes into, and to release that, there's a black ring right on the outside of that blue tube, and you push that ring in towards the fitting and then pull back on the tube when it pulls out. And then to put it back together, you just push that tube back into the fitting, and as you pull out, kind of put a little pressure on that ring to come pull backwards, and double check yourself. You want to, make sure you get those in good and tight. Push them and pull them a few times just to make sure that they're not going to come off later. So the rears are much easier than the front. Basically two nuts to take off, the large one at the bottom, which you've got good access with from underneath. Smaller one up above, which again you can reach from either underneath or try and reach around the wheel. With the dual rear wheels, it was easier for me to get that one off from underneath. There's a push-pull fitting, so you just push in on that outer ring, push it in towards the fitting, pull the line out, and then push it back in. Smaller. So these are the rear airbags that I took off. As you can see, there's the air fitting, and then the one bolt that you undo on the top. And these are the brackets that came with the new airbags, and you can see they've got these little indents on the bottom, and those fit into this little indent here and this one here. So when you put those on, or when you put them on the bus, you can kind of see if you get the distance
about equal here and here. These will end up in those pockets and makes the job a lot easier. You know, these are 20 years old, but you know, surprisingly, they're really not. Well, I mean, the rubber's starting to kind of crack a little bit in through there, but these are the original bags on the bus. And so these are the front airbags. Again, you know, the air fitting goes there, and then you've got this attachment for the bracket, same as in the front, or in the back, I mean. And then these kind of look similar. I mean, you know, you're starting to see some cracks show up inside the rubber there. This is the one that I actually had to cut off. So that's the attachment on the bottom, and I just ran a hacksaw in there and slice it off, which, you know, didn't take very long once I got a good sharp blade. And then the other one, you can see the stud is still on there. I was able to just back the nut off of that one. And the same, kind of tell the rubber's starting to show some cracking. So this was the tool that I built to get those nuts off the bottom of the front airbags. I just took a piece of C-channel, I think it's 2" by 1", and then I just trimmed the end of it up and welded a socket on there. And if I remember right, I think that's an 1" socket. But what I wanted to do was offset it so that the socket would go up into that pocket. So I set that up as high as I could, and it actually worked out really well. I also created a little pocket in the tool so I could put a piece of pipe in there, or a piece of bar, to give me some leverage if I needed it, which helped me break it loose. And I felt like I got it torqued on there tight that way as well. But that worked out well. So now that I'm finished, all in, it took me about 6 hours to do this. The rear's about an hour and a half of that. That includes the time it took me to build the tool to get the front off as well. I don't know exactly how much time that took, but you know, it really wasn't a bad job. I was more nervous about it before I did it, and happy with the way it turned out. Couldn't have done it though without my help of my assistant here, Mia, little helper.